Have you ever wondered about Britain's splendid isolation? This was a period in the late 1800s, under the reign of Queen Victoria, when Britain played little part in European affairs. It had no official alliances with any other powerful nations, sticking to a policy of splendid isolation. The journey to this isolation was a fascinating one. Britain spent much of the 1800s building up the British Empire, mainly in Africa and Asia. By the late 1800s, the British Empire was the largest the world had ever known. Britain was the richest and most powerful nation on earth, with the biggest navy, the most colonies, and the best trade links. A British law stated that Britain's navy should be at least equal in size to the combined strength of the next two largest navies in the world, which were France and Russia at the time. The government made £20 million available, which would be around £1.2 billion today, to build more new warships. The British felt quite simply they didn't need any military or economic allies because they had such a huge navy and an empire that provided all the goods and resources it needed. However, challenges to this isolation soon emerged. In the early 1900s, the most powerful European nations started to split into two alliances. Britain's position began to look less splendid and a little too isolated in the face of an increasingly aggressive Germany. The British and French had clashed over control of colonies in North Africa, nearly going to war in the late 1800s. However, agreements were made over the colonies, which brought the nations closer together. From 1898, Germany began to build up its navy and started to talk of making Germany a global power. This posed a threat to Britain's power. Germany and Austria-Hungary formed an alliance. France and Russia joined together in an alliance. And Germany supported the Boers, a group of settlers in the British colony of South Africa who had rebelled against British rule. This angered the British. In 1903, Britain's King Edward VII sent 4 battleships to salute the French president, who was delighted with this gesture and invited Edward to Paris. The subsequent visit was a brilliant success and set the climate for greater cooperation between the two nations. In 1904, the Entente Cordiale, or Friendly Understanding, was signed between Britain and France. In 1907, Britain signed a similar agreement with Russia. And just like that, Britain was no longer in splendid isolation. It had formed alliances with 2 other European powers. In summary, Britain's journey to splendid isolation was a result of its immense power and wealth. The challenges to this isolation came from shifting alliances and rising powers in Europe, and the end of it was marked by the signing of the Entente Cordiale with France and a similar agreement with Russia. A fascinating journey indeed.